Well, for those of you that don't know, about a week ago, I did a Super Monkey Ball 1 tier list video, and it's got some pretty substantial views out of that, so I decided that it would be best to do a second one, you know, for Super Monkey Ball 2. After playing through the entirety of Super Monkey Ball Deluxe on live stream and beating it with absolutely no lives remaining, I feel pretty confident in explaining how I feel about the second game as well, since I did the first one. Now, the funny thing is about Super Monkey Ball 2 and my experience with it is that I actually know a lot more about it than I do the first one, because this was the only one that I owned on the GameCube, and I played through it my entire childhood multiple times. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Let's waste no more time. Let's get right into this. The tiers are still the same as the last one, and you guys will see where they line up in the video. Before we get started, make sure you guys give the video a like and sub to the channel if you haven't already. I do a lot of gaming and weird memes on here if you guys are into that, and yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So starting off here, we have stage 1, which is simple, and it's in the name, and as the name would suggest, it's, well, easy as all can be. As the first stage, all you do is just press the button forward and you're in. Now the thing is, that's actually going to be a common trope with a lot of these stages, of which we'll see later on. But as for this stage, we'll slip it in the average tier. Not too much fun considering all you do is mash the button forward. Alright, stage 2, hollow. So this one isn't all that bad. You know, the thing is, you can always do the circle around where you can just go around the circle, but the way I like to do it is I just like to gain speed and then just move from the first slope and you end up right through the goal. It's a pretty substantial and easy way to get a shortcut right there. So I like that stage, and we'll slip that one into the cool and good tier. Stage 3, I forgot what this one was called, to be honest. I think it was called like bumps or something like that. I'll have to double check that. But either way, this one isn't that difficult of a stage. It's basically like stage 1, except all you do is just move the control stick back and forth, and basically you're in. Like, you can't mash it just straight forward, else you just die. Nothing really else to the stage. Pretty simple stuff. It goes right into the average tier with the other one where you just press forward. Stage 4 is switches. Now this one, of course, introduced the switches for the first time, and not too much of a substantial stage. There is a green gold that you can get, but it's actually one of the more harder ones to get. And it's not the worst thing to attempt to get, but it's not all that easy either. And really, I was trying and get that strat. Other than that, though, there's really nothing else to the stage. I mean, a lot of these beginner stages, they're just as you would expect. So for this one, we'll slip this one right into the average tier as well. And so now, this is the first bonus stage. This is just bowl, where it's literally just a big bowl, and all you do is run around and try and grab the bananas, or you can just go right into the goal. Nothing too special about it. It's basically simple with a gap. So yeah, give me the average tier on that one. Alright, stage 6. This one's called floaters, and as you would expect, it's just a bunch of floating squares on top of one big square. Pretty much you just move your way around the squares and you're in. There's some big bananas around the edge. Nothing too substantial about this stage that makes it really stand out amongst all the others. It's pretty much your easily substantial beginner stage. So yeah, like most of the others, we'll slip that one in the average tier as well. Alright, now we're on the slopes, and you know, the funny thing about this is the actual slopes compared to, well actually, it's called rising inclines in Deluxe, but not like it matters, because either way, it's nothing too special. You pretty much just move across the slopes. You can go across the big one, or you can take a shortcut, which, to be honest, that one isn't all too fun to get, because most of the time, it just ends up messing up for some reason. You have to get that angle right, but other than that, nothing too bad about it. In fact, when you get that shortcut, it's actually really satisfying. So we'll slip that one where the other shortcut is in the cool and good tier. Stage 8 Sliders, and you know, this one is just one big tease because it's actually really hard to get the shortcut because there is one and there's plenty of ways to do it. Like you can jump off one slide and then just try and move your way all the way down to the goal, or you can move across the slides, but you know, the way I like to do it is I just like to take a little quick shortcut if I don't get the big shortcut the first time. But other than that, nothing too special about the stage. It's not really all that fun to play through, but it's not too bad of a stage either, so we'll slip that one in the average tier as well. Stage 9, Spinning Top. Pretty much this one is nothing more than you just go around and go right into the goal, trying to avoid the top, which is really easy. There's nothing too bad about the stage, and there's nothing really much else to say about it, so like many of the others, that one will go into average tier as well. Stage 10, Curve Bridge. Now, the thing is about this, it's not a hard stage at all. It's a really easy stage, but the thing is, you know me, I have -2 patience. I'm not able to comprehend the amount of patience it takes to do this stage, because if you do it the right way, which is the only really the only way to do it, it's very hard to pull off a shortcut unless you're running a tool assisted speed run, and if you are, good for you. But if you're not that, which means you're me, as the casual monkey ball player, the only thing you can do is sit back and get patient and wait for about 40 seconds to finish the stage. Not too fun, and one I kind of dread playing through, so we'll slip that one in the warm and bad tier. But it doesn't mean it's a hard stage, it just means it's more of a boring one. Alright, now we're on to the extra beginner stages, and starting off here we have Conveyors, and you know, this is one of the stages where all you do is just press the control stick forward and you're in. Nothing too bad about it, goes right into the average tier, nothing much else to say about it. Next up, Bumpy Check, and this one's really simple too. All you have to do is just basically just move along the checkerboards and you're into the goal. Of course, there's a couple of gaps in the way, but nothing too substantial and nothing too bad about it. It's pretty easy, and we'll slip that one in average tier as well. Alright, this one. Okay, thing is about Alternative, which is what the stage is called, it's easy to do unless if you're trying to go for the strat and press the button, which if you're trying to do it that way, it's physically impossible. I have not been able to do it that way. I've tried every single way I could to pull it off, and it's just not possible for me. I don't know why, but if you do it the normal way, then it's pretty simple, nothing too bad. But it goes into warm and bad tier just because of the tease that comes with the fast button. Up next we have Junction, and thing about this stage is this is one of the more easier green goals that you will find in the game, as you can go 2 separate ways, the main way, or you can reverse and go the opposite direction. Either way, there's nothing too bad about it. It's just you have to really get a big jump to get to the green goal, but as long as you do that, it's pretty simple stuff, and is a pretty big boost getting past the stage you will see next. So I'd consider that we put in the cool and good tier. Alright, Bead Screen. So this one's actually really fun for a variety of reasons, because the thing is about Bead Screen, it kind of it can defy the physics of the game if you're able to pull it off. In some ways you can make I mean I've seen crazy stuff where you can shoot the monkey up into the air and he just goes flying a million miles. But if you play it the normal way, you just have to wait for all of them to line up, and then you just press the button, and then you just slip right down and you're in. You know, it actually took me a little bit of time to figure that out when I was playing this as a kid. But other than that, no, it's a really fun stage to play through. So we're gonna slip that one into God tier. Alright, on to Fluctuation, and this one, I do not like this one at all, and the reason why is the fact that it's another one of those stages where you have to be patient, and I've already tried to roll a strat on this, but it's very difficult to pull off. But if you're able to do it, it does save you quite a bit of time. And like I said, I'm more of a casual player, but that doesn't mean that I don't get impatient. So this one will slip into the warm and bad tier just because of the fact that it takes a while to beat that stage. Alright, extra 7 folders. Thing about this stage is it's not a very complicated stage in terms of you just move across the edges of those folders. You just move across them, and the stage is pretty simple. And if you time it right, you can jump up and it'll save you a lot of time. So it's nothing too bad. But if you don't get that right, it will kill you and it will hurt a lot. But I've never had any problems with this stage once I got the strat down. So that one will go into the cool and good tier. Extra stage 8 for beginner, quick turn. You know, the thing about this stage is it may look complicated at first, but literally you press the button, move forward, you're in the goal. It's actually really simple. I don't understand what the developers are thinking about that. But, I mean, literally, you just move forward from the start, you're into the goal, and there's really nothing else to it. So, that one will go into cool and good tier just because of how simple it is, and it's kind of a trick stage because you wouldn't expect for to just, like, roll in to the goal like you do. Stage 9, linear seesaws. So this is what I believe the introduction to seesaws is, and it's a new tactic in Super Monkey Ball 2 where you know, seesaws. So thing about that is it's actually pretty fun to go through because it's an easy stage. Now, of course, you can't just move forward or else you just die, but you know, it's hardly involving any like turns or anything like that, and it's more of one of the more simpler extra stages. So that one, and because of this one, and you know, it actually meant a lot to me through childhood because that was one stage that I really liked playing for some reason. So because of that and the nostalgia that it brings me, we'll put that one into God tier. Alright, stage 10 is Birth, and you know, with Birth, I don't really know where to place it, to be honest, because the thing is, it's not a bad stage. It does require a little bit of patience because you have to move around to one side and then move all the way around to the other side just so you can go through the goal. It's a pretty long stage, but other than that, there's really nothing else to it. And even if you're brave enough, you can just go straight to the left and you can try and risk it that way, but I wouldn't recommend it because you're death. But other than that, simple stage goes right into average tier in my opinion. Alright, now we move on to the advanced stages. So starting with advanced 1, banks. Pretty simple stuff, you just have to move around, or you can try and take the shortcut, but based off my own personal experience, wouldn't recommend that because it's not a very easy strat to pull off, and if you don't get it right the first 1 or 2 times, it just irritates you throughout the rest of the game, and that'll make you mess up. So because of that factor, I think we'll slip that one into the average tier as well. Stage 2, Eaton floor. This one's nothing more than just moving around. It's like a little bit of a maze, or if you're smart enough, you can just move across the outside and then move straight towards the goal because there's nothing there that'll obstruct your path. So pretty easy stage. That one will go into average tier as well. Alright, stage 3, I forgot the name of this stage. I believe it's called Hoppers. Thing is about Hoppers is you can't just move forward and get in, obviously, as those things can be quite bothersome, and sometimes it can just completely mess up your run if you don't get it right. Other than that, though, it's nothing too hard. It's really nothing too difficult. Or you can just be a wuss and press the button in the back, like me. So we'll slip this one into the average tier. Nothing too special about it, of course. Alright, now we're on to Coaster. And this one, for a variety of people, very fun stage to play through because you just move fast, move all the way down to the end, and as long as you get the timing right and get the precision and accuracy at the very end, you're right into the goal, no problems. It's a very fun stage, God tier, no problem. Alright, now we're on to the next bonus stage, which is literally bowl, except with a kind of a string attached to both ends. Nothing too spectacular about it. It's literally the same thing. So yeah, that goes into average tier as well. Alright, now we're on to Swell. This is stage 6. and this one's just moving forward at a pretty fast speed. As long as you get that down and try and stay in the middle, especially towards the end, nothing too bad about it. We can slip this one into average tier. It's pretty fun to go through if we're going fast, but it can mess up your run if you don't get right into the middle. Alright, so this one is Gravity Slider. So take Coaster, line it up vertically, and just go downhill. That's basically what you're dealing with here. It's a lot of fun, and probably the funnest stage that you will find in the entire game, depending on what you do or what you roll with. So this one, in my opinion, obvious God tier. If there weren't any stages, that would be God tier, and I could choose only one, this would be it. That was probably my favorite stage, in all honesty, in the entirety of Super Monkey Ball 2. But we'll see what else we get going forward. Alright, as for stage 8, Inchworms. Alright, Inchworms is, well, what do I say about Inchworms? The thing about this stage is, if you're that much of a wuss, you can always go for the first goal, but if you're smart enough, you'll always try and go for the expert goal at the very end. That's what you strive for every time you play this stage, because of course that'll give you a big skip, and that's what I always try and strive for every time I play through this. But if you're frustrated enough, you can always go for the green. So depending on where you place this, it really doesn't matter, but in my personal experience with the stage, I'll slip that one into cool and good. So you want to know why I always try and strive for at least the green goal on the Inchworm stage? It's because of the existence of this piece of crap stage. This one, for me, is going into the no tier. And the reason why, of course, is the fact that the stage just sucks in general. The thing about it is, it's just a whole bunch of big slabs of metal slamming you down every single time, and you can't tell where it's going to move just based off the shadows, because if you look at that, that's going to kill you. The main way to beat this stage is just to stay as far away from those sticks as possible. But if you're like me, you're probably just gonna slam into them and die. That's exactly what I do every time I go through this stage. Now, it's not the worst thing, because if you press the switch, it makes things a lot easier. You can just move at the perfect time and then find a little gap to where you can just get right away from that. But if you're not as fortunate as I am in terms of that, then I don't know what to tell you. Either way, though, that one goes into the no tier for sure. Alright, next bonus stage here on Advanced. I believe it's called, I don't even know, I think it's called Leveler. That's how forgetful this stage is. You can't even remember the name of it. You pretty much just move past all the squares and aim towards getting the goal. Thing is about this bonus stage is that there's not even many bananas to get, so the point of the bonus stage really isn't even there. It's just kind of existing, so I'm gonna put that one in the warm and bad tier. Alright, the next one. This one, you know, the thing is, this is one of the most memorable stages of the entirety of Super Monkey Ball 2, just because of the craziness of it. Organic Form has always been one of those stages that's given some people trouble depending on how straightforward you can be when moving forward. If you're using an Xbox controller, the difficulty of this stage ranges to the max, but if you're not using that and using a GameCube controller with a much more usable control stick for the game, then you're in luck. Either way, though, we'll slip this one into the cool and good tier. Nothing too bad about it, and I actually like playing through it on most occasions. Alright, Reversible Gear is next. You know, as a kid, I never could get past this stage. This is one of the most difficult stages because I couldn't figure out what to do. Now, I know it stopped, but I just didn't know if there was a way to get into the goal fast enough. Eventually, I figured it out, and then from there on, you just see the pattern, and you're able to go right through it. Just because of the trouble it gave me as a kid, and all that, we'll slip that one in the warm and bad tier. Alright, Stepping Stones. Nothing too bad about this stage as long as you take the left path. You're a masochist if you take the right path. I don't know what else to tell you. But if you take the left one, then good news. It's a pretty simple stage. Nothing else really to say about it. So that one can go into the average tier as well. Dribbles. This one, in my opinion, deserves to be in the no tier. And of course, the reason why is because, like I mentioned before, -2 patience. This is what this stage is all about. You can't run through this stage. You kind of have to like walk through this stage. You have to like really chess hall walk through this stage, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. In fact, it's horrible. So we'll put that one in no tier, like I mentioned before. Not a fan of patience, as you can tell. Next up, we have URL, which is just a big gigantic URL that's moving forward. And the thing about this stage is, which I find quite funny, is that the actual URL to www.amusementvision.com, I believe it was called, doesn't actually take you to anything that exists anymore. Whatever the stage was beforehand no longer, well, the link no longer exists. So that being said, it's still a pretty interesting stage to play through, because if you can get the shortcut right, then you don't have to worry about going through any of the gaps, but that's only if you're brave enough to do it. So really, that one can go into the average tier. It's nothing too extraordinary, but not too difficult either. Alright, Mad Rings. And you gotta be a real madman to try and take the red goal, but that's exactly what I do. I usually went for the ring goal every time I played through this stage, because it was probably one of the easiest ones to get, but I don't roll that way. I always go for the hardest one, just so I can skip through some of the other stages and just keep moving forward at a pretty fast pace, because that's what I've been looking for throughout the entirety. The only problem with that is it's a pain in the cheeks. The thing about the Mad Rings is the last one is moving at such a fast speed that you have to get the timing exactly right if you want to make sure to get that red gold, because if you don't, pain. Lots and lots of pain heads your way. Now, I'm not saying it deserves to be in the pain tier. In fact, I think it deserves to be in the complete opposite, which I think would be cool and good tier. It's a pretty fun stage to play through, as long as you get that timing correct. Alright, wavy options. Nothing too much to, really nothing here to say about this. Choose whichever option you choose. It's pretty easy to say the least. Unless if you choose the last one, but like I said, you're a masochist if you try and go for anything like that. But other than that, nothing too bad. It can go into the average tier. Alright, Twister. Oh man, this one's awful. I mean, this one's really bad. Now, the thing is about this stage is that it may not look too bad, but once it combusts and twists and all the gaps are open, you can easily fall right into one of the gaps if you're not careful enough. And it's crazy how easy it is to do so. You have to time everything correctly, or else you're just screwed. No, I mean, there's really no other way to say it. So that one can go right into the no tier. Alright, next one. And this one, I believe, is called Cascade in Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. Now, I forgot the name of it in Super Monkey Ball 2, but that's probably because I haven't played that version of the game in a while, and I'm more used to the Deluxe version. So, that being said, let's talk about the stage. In terms of how difficult the stage is, it's nothing too bad. It does require a little bit of patience, but nothing all that awful. And you're constantly moving forward. You're not necessarily waiting for anything to happen, so that one can go into the average tier, nothing too bad. Alright, now we're on to the next bonus stage, which is Rampage. Well, there's actually big bananas here, so at least you're getting something on that regard. Other than that, nothing too special about it. I won't go into depth about a lot of these bonus stages, because there's really no point in really doing that, because I mean, they're all bonus stages all the same, so that one can go into the average tier. Alright, now we're on to Advanced 21 Pro Skaters. This one, like a lot of green goals in this game, I've almost seen it impossible to get that, unless if you're just a genius and have perfect timing. The first goal is easy to get, but the second one is, I mean, it's a complete joke trying to reach it. It's not gonna happen. Now again, you can be a speedrunner and try and go through it, but I've never been able to try it. Believe me, I've tried thousands of times to get it, so that one can go into the warm and bad tier just because of the tease involving the green goal. Alright, now, like I mentioned before about this green goal, the reason I tried it 1,000 times is because of this stage's existence, and this one is probably my least favorite stage, if not the hardest, one of the hardest or most annoying in Super Monkey Ball 2. Giant Comb, in my opinion, has to be one of the worst in any regard, because the thing is about this stage, it's a giant moving comb that moves at such high speeds that if you're hit by it, you're done. I mean, you're literally done. So now the thing is about this stage is that you can actually see where it's going to be hitting because of the lines that come, so that makes the stage quite a bit easier. The problem with that is it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make it out alive. In fact, if you try and take it the speedy route, it's going to be very, very difficult for you. But if you're able to get it down by some miracle, then congratulations. But other than that, yeah, this is the first one that belongs in the pain tier. The next one, though, is actually really fun, which is Beehive. And this one's more of those one of those fast-paced, just go right through it stages, and it's actually really fun to go through. Just jumping and moving forward at a very high speed. Nothing much else to say about it. I think it belongs in the cool and good tier. Alright, Dynamic Maze. Need I say more about this stage? My experience with it pretty much revolves down to what happened to me in Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, as the clip you'll see right here. What the? Really? Yeah, not too fun, is it? Yeah, I didn't think so. So that one can go straight into what I believe where it belongs, the warm and bad tier. Triangle Holes is next. I almost said Triangle Hose, but Triangle Holes, it's... what do I say about it? Oh yeah, you just move straight forward. You didn't expect that, did you? Yeah, I know, funny, isn't it? That one can go into average tier just because of the fact that you can literally just move forward and you're in, no problem. Launchers is next, and this one, what do I got to say about this one? The thing about it is it's not very fun. Now, it's a fast-paced stage when you move across it, but you know, this is one of those stages where the green goal can be your demise without even knowing it, because you can't see where the goal is going to be when you're moving forward on top. If it hits you, you'll move down, and if you're badly placed enough, you'll just die. It's a pretty annoying tactic to have to go through if you end up missing it the first time. Other than that, nothing too bad. I'd say it goes into the warm and bad tier as well. Randomizer. So the thing about this stage is that it's nothing too bad. You can go for the red goal, the green goal, of course the beginner goal, and go through all three of those, or you can go to what is personally my favorite route and go into the die route, which it can randomize that as well. The thing is about this stage, it's more or less quite a bit of RNG, and you just gotta hope that you can get to the red goal without problems on the first attempt. So nothing too bad. I wouldn't put it in the cool and good tier just because of the fact that it's randomized, but since it is randomized, we'll slip it into the average tier. Next up is coin slots, and my goodness, this one is a horrifying stage to play through because it's another one of those stages where you have to deal with patience, unless if you're just this absolute genius who can go and reach for the green goal, but totally wouldn't recommend that because, again, I've tried hundreds of times, not gonna happen unless if you are a god and are able to master it within a millisecond. So yeah, it's a patient stage. It's annoying, it's not fun to play through, put it in the no tier. Alright, Seesaw Bridges. So this one's nothing too bad. You just kind of move past and swing across the bridges. Nothing all that extraordinary, but nothing too bad either. It can go into the average tier along with a lot of these other stages. What the hell do you want me to say about this stage? This is honestly one of the more atrocious stages that you'll find in Monkey Ball history, and is well known as one of the most infamous stages in Monkey Ball history, just because of the fact that it is nearly impossible to beat it the way it was designed to be beat. It's a patient stage where you have to wait there all the way up until the goal reaches the top, and even then you have to get perfect timing, perfect precision, and perfect accuracy. If you're not able to master all three of those, then you can call it quits and just go ahead and exit the game and throw your GameCube out the window. But if you're me, you can always take the more substantial route and just wing it and fall right through the gap and just pray to the lords above that you go right through and into the goal. But other than that, I think I've explained exactly where this stage belongs, that being the pain tier. Alright, Advanced Extra is next. So now that we've moved through this part, oh boy, auto doors. So another stage that requires significant amounts of patience. What a brutal stage this is. Not really. It's more or less just you waiting for the doors to open and then closing. Nothing too bad. Unless you're an idiot and decide to just go right through without clicking the button that you don't click on immediately at the start of the stage. So if you're not selected genius, then this stage will be pretty easy for you. But other than that, you can go ahead and move this one right into the no tier. But as for me, it goes into the warm and bad tier because, again, -2 patience. Alright, now we're on to, I believe this one's called Autosphere. And so this one's just a pain to play through just because of the fact that it's a consistently annoying stage to play through because of the fact that you literally have to wait for the perfect timing to go right through. And what else can I really say about it? It took me a while to figure out how to beat this stage just because of the fact that that button and everything else about this stage can be really annoying sometimes. So all that considered, we can put it next to auto doors in the warm and bad tier. Up next on our list here is Stagger, and this one's kind of a weird one for a variety of reasons. You know, this is one of those stages that like defies the meaning of gravity and is actually moving without you knowing it. Like you look at it and it feels like it's standing still, but for some reason it actually is moving. I'm not sure I will ever understand how that's possible, but either way, it's nothing too bad. It's just only a quick little movement, and after the first attempt, you will get it down without any problems. So that one can go into the average tier. Nothing too bad about it. After that, you get UFO, and this one's actually pretty fun to play through because it's all you have to do is press the button, and once you get inside the UFO, and everything after that is pretty simple. So it's actually not too bad of a stage to play through. It can go right into the cool and good tier. Nothing too bad about it. So next up here we have Ring Bridges, and this one is your everyday average move across the platforms stage. It's one of those platforming stages that you can find in Monkey Ball. Nothing all that bad. It can go into the average tier only because of just really how simple it is compared to some of these other stages. And now we've reached Domes. So this is another one of those stages where you just look at it and you're like, oh wow, it's not too bad. But then you play through it once and you immediately regret your entire life. So this stage can go into the pain tier. I do not think there would be any argument about that. If there is anybody in the comment section that is willing to discuss that Domes is actually a good and fun stage to play through, I will contact your local psychiatrist immediately. So we'll see how that goes. Now as for the next one, A Might-A-Lot, this is kind of one where you just look at it and immediately, again, you just regret your life decisions. This one is not a fun one to play through, as the bumpers at each end continuously move from one end to the other, and it doesn't help that the goal moves as well, and not horizontally either. It moves vertically, and it requires precision timing to actually get into, and I've bumped across the goal plenty of times, so believe me when I do say that this one belongs in the pain tier as well. The next stage here is long slider, and nothing too bad here. And you know, compared to most of the shortcuts here in Monkey Ball, this one's actually one of the more easier ones to get, just because of all you need is the right precision, and you're in the goal. It doesn't even need to be perfect. As long as you're around the area, you should get into the goal just fine. So that one's not too bad, even if you do it the right way. It's nothing all that awful, but that being said, it is still a difficult stage, so it can go to the average tier. Next up is Grid Bridge, and this one is very easy. It can go into cool and good just because of how easy it is, and that's very uncommon to find at this point in time. With the next stage here being Teapot, my goodness, this one's ridiculous. Ridiculous in terms of not even difficulty, but just how dumb it is sometimes. It's not a very hard stage. It's just if you don't get the pattern right, you're done. You're screwed. It's kind of annoying in a way, so it can go into the warm and bad tier. Nothing too awful, but nothing fun to play through, all things considered. Alright, next up we have Wormhole. Now we're into Expert. So Wormhole, pretty simple stuff. You just move across the teleporter thingy, and this is the introduction to the teleporters, I believe so. Oh boy, what fun that is! Nothing too bad in all terms, so that can go into the average tier. Next up is Freefall, and this one's actually pretty fun because pretty much all you do is just move across the tape and then move down. You can either go for of course, the main goal, or if you're smart enough or brave enough, you can try and aim for the green goal. And if you're like me, you can get in there without issue. It's one of the more easier shortcuts and goals to get in the game, so that one I think can go into the cool and good tier. Melting Pot is next, and because of the fact that I get the green goal on the other stage most of the time, I usually skip this one, but when I don't, it's nothing too bad. You just move across and just dodge all the big, I guess, big other balls that go along with you. Yeah, you're just a monkey dodging some big balls. Stop it. So now we can move this one into the average tier. Nothing else to say about that. Alright, Mad Shuffle is next, and trying to do this stage without pressing the slow button is kind of difficult, but if you go ahead and press that, all you have to do is just get the pattern down and you're right into the goal. So it does require just a tad bit of patience, but nothing all that bad, so that one can go into the average tier as well. Partition is one of those stages where you can just really just move across and get right into the goal, and because of that, it's nothing too bad. It's more of your everyday average bonus stage that can go into the average tier as well. Alright, Jump Machine, and this one's actually pretty fun because literally it's just you're moving from one pad to the other. It's just one big bounce pad that you're jumping off of, constantly trying to get up and up until finally you reach the main goal, which is the red goal, of course, at the very top. That is, if you're brave enough to do it, which most people are. It's a pretty easy red goal to get, and I really like the stage, so I consider that one into God tier. So now on to the next one. This is I believe it's called something, Zigzag something, I don't remember, but it's a pretty forgettable stage. You're just moving across the zigzags into a goal that can go into the average tier. Next up is Tower, and as the name would suggest, you're moving across a tower. You start down at the bottom, then move across the teleporter, go back up, and then move down. It's kind of a rinse and repeat process. That is, if you don't get it the first time, nothing too bad. Goes into average tier as well. Now we're back to difficulty here with Toggle. And if anybody knows how much pain this stage can bring. It's not very fun. It's one of the more infamous stages in Monkey Ball history, and this one, this one is just a brutal stage in all honesty. If you don't get the pattern right, which happens on most occasions, it's a very difficult one to pull off. Next up, we got another bonus stage here, which is Pachinko. Nothing all that spectacular about it. You're just moving across a teleporter going downhill into the goal. It's one of the more, I guess, innovative bonus stages in Monkey Ball, so I guess it deserves the cool and good tier. Next up, Combination. This one's an annoying one to play through. That one can go into the no tier because it's the fact that you're moving across, going across like checkerboards, except they're moving in all different spaces. Not a very fun one to play through, especially since gravity can just kind of have its own rules sometimes, so that one can slip into the no tier. Punch Seesaws, not too much of a fun one either, but the good news is it's not easy. I mean, it's easy, not easy. The good news, not easy. But it's not too difficult of a stage either way, so it can go into the average tier. It's a pretty easy one to get, even if you are striving for the green goal, which is good because the next one here, Opera, is a freaking brutal one. The fact that you're traveling down steep stairs is not a good thing to have in Monkey Ball, especially since the stairs themselves are so narrow and you're just trying to avoid moving down too fast so that you don't get slapped. So that one can go right into the no tier for that reason alone. I know this one's stage name, but I just can't say it because, well, I don't know how. That's all there is to it. It's a pretty simple stage. You're just moving, slowly moving as you inch towards to hitting that goal when it gets to you. And as long as you go right through the blue tape, you're good. Nothing too special about it. Nothing too bad about it. Average tier for that one as well. We'll see a lot more average tier stages, won't we? All right, tiers. So, thing is about this one is that if you're using an Xbox controller, pain tier for that one. But if you're not, then good news, it's nothing too bad. You can even try and strive for the right goal, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not an easy one to pull off. Other than that, though, nothing too bad. That one can probably go into the cool and good tier if you're playing on the GameCube, because of the fact that it's nothing all that bad. You're just moving across the tape at the end and getting to the goal. Next up is Cliffs, which you're basically just moving across a couple of steep falls until you reach the end of that fall with a little jump that you have to do. It's pretty innovative. I like it. Nothing too bad. It can go into the average tier. Narrow Peaks. This one has a shortcut that you can pull off if you're smart enough, where if you go at the very end and then move forward, you can just skip the entirety of that stage and go right into the goal without any issues. So that one's actually not too much of a bad one to play through. It can go into the cool and good tier. Next up is Detour. And Detour is nothing all that bad either. It's pretty easy to get the green goal, actually, if you got the right accuracy on it. So, nothing too bad about that one either. That one can go into average tier because it's not exactly the most enjoyable stage to play. You know what? I take it back. It is pretty fun to play through. That can go into the cool and good tier. Switch Inferno. Now, you see, I can understand why some people would despise this stage because of the fact that it's just one big maze that you have to go through. If you're playing this game for the first time, it's a trial and error stage, but if you got it down, then it's nothing more than just muscle memory. You're just hitting the right switch and you're right into the goal. Nothing too bad about it. But other than that, it's not too fun. It can go into the warm and bad tier. The next one is Earthquake. It's another bonus stage, and this one barely has any bananas. Most of the stages on here really don't have many at all, so that one can go into what I believe where it belongs is the warm and bad tier. They need to have more bananas on those bonus stages. Alright, next up, Spiral Bridge. And this one isn't all that bad. The bridge is that you have to cross is not very narrow, so you don't have to really worry about timing or anything like that. Well, there is a little bit of timing that you have to do at the end, but other than that, nothing too bad about it, so that one can go into average tier. Alright, to be honest, I forgot the name of this stage. I believe it's called like Wavy Options or Curvy Option Part 2, I don't know. Either way though, it's pretty much got the same premise as what we saw before in Advanced. Just this time, it's just a wavy line depending on where you go. And it's actually, in my opinion, easier than the stage that we saw in Advanced. So I'd say with that being said, it can probably go into the cool and good tier. Right there. Alright. Next one is Obstacle. So the thing about this stage is that once you got it down, you got an idea of how to get to the goal. But, you know, the thing is about me, when I was playing this at the age of, what, 8? Or, yeah, somewhere around 8 or 7, I got to this point in the stage, and I just couldn't figure out how to beat it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't notice the moving platform that was moving up, and I didn't know that you had to hit one side of the platform to get to the other side and then go up to hit the goal. I didn't know. I didn't have big brain IQ in order to pull off a move like that. So that being said, I was like, But other than that, nothing all that bad. But just because of the pain that it gave me as a child, warm and bad tier for that one. Next up is Dominoes, and this one is nothing all that bad either. You're just clicking the button and then moving straight forward until you reach the goal. As in straight forward, you take a quick right turn and then just move towards the very end without issue. Nothing all that bad about this stage. It can go into the average tier along with many of our other good stages right there. I don't know how to pronounce that stage. I know the name of it again, but I just don't know how to say it. So this one is nothing fun. Nothing fun about it. It's just a pain. And the biggest pain about it is the fact that towards the very end of the stage, you're moving towards a very narrow goal with a very narrow platform, with a big, narrow, I guess, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a big, narrow thing that's moving at such high speeds, and if it hits you from the back route, expect to get jump scared. This is the jump scare stage in my opinion. So that being said, it goes in the no tier respectively. It's not a very hard stage, just when it finally does get you, it gets you hard. No, stop it. Stop. Next up is Flock, and this one is another one that kind of gets on me the wrong way, because of the fact that it's another one of those stages where it requires a massive amount of patience to get through. Unless, of course, unless you're a tool-assisted speedrunner. But other than that, it's not very fun to play through. We'll put that one in the warm and bad tier. The next one is Double Spiral, which, of course, this one can be difficult depending on which control you're using or how fast you're going or anything like that. But if you got the pattern down, you got the right way to do it, it's nothing all that bad. And it's actually pretty fun to play through, so just depending on what you're doing or what you're using, that one can go in average tier. Alright, now then we're on the Hierarchy, and this one is just moving down a few platforms until you finally reach the goal, each one with a hole expanding in length. So what do I say about this one other than it's not too bad, pretty easy, nothing really all that extraordinary about it. So yeah, another average tier. Alright, the next one, and this one's kind of infamous for a lot of people because of the fact that it's kind of a difficult stage. I think it was called 8 Bracelets, if I'm correct on that. But this one gave a lot of people nightmares because of the fact that it's such a difficult stage in a lot of people's minds. But For me, it's not, I don't see it that way. It's actually a pretty fun stage. Not only that, but it's a stage where you can reach the red goal at the very end without issue most of the time. And with that being said, it's not a bad stage to play through, so we're gonna go ahead and put this one, and believe it or not, I know, the God tier. And that's one of those controversial ones that's gonna get a lot of people big mad, I imagine. Alright, on to Banana Hunting, another bonus stage here. Now this one at least has quite a few bananas that you can get without issue, so that being said, I think we should go ahead and move it into the average tier. I don't think a bonus stage is all that extraordinary, but it's average. Up next is Pistons, and now we're on to, I believe, Expert 31. Thing is about this one is it's kind of difficult because of the fact that you're trying to stay on top of narrow platforms, and if you're not, expect to fly off or fly 500 feet into the air. And if that happens, you can just maneuver your way all the way to the end and reach the goal that way. Not too bad of a stage, you can go into the average tier. Soft Cream, and this one kind of has a infamous view for some people because of the, again, because of the fact that you're trying to really move forward at a neutral speed. It's a lot like Double Spiral, except it requires a little bit more patience and a lot less speed. So nothing bad about it, I'd say, but nothing good about it either. So that one is average in the definition, exactly. Now this next one, Momentum, absolutely can be a very bad stage for a lot of people because it's two moving platforms that are moving at a consistent rate between each other, and if you don't get the pattern right, expect to die. And I've died plenty of times on this stage. It's not a fun one to play through. In fact, it's an absolutely brutal one. Give me the no tier on that one. That one's awful to play through. Alright, Entangled Path. So Entangled Path is in my opinion, kind of a weird one to put because, again, it's another one that requires patience, sitting there and waiting, unless if you go for the green goal, which in my opinion is nearly impossible because you have to time it at such a perfect time that in my opinion it's almost impossible to even attempt to do such a thing. But that being said, I mean, who am I to judge? Who am I to say which stages are easy and which are not? So I don't know really. But either way, the green goal. If you ever gotten the green goal before, my respect to you. But if you haven't, then you're just like me. This one can go into the no. Alright, the next one here, which is Teeters Totters. I don't remember exactly what the stage was called, but I do know that it's not anything too difficult. In fact, all you have to do is move forward at a good time and you're good. I'd almost put it in terms of where it was or where simple is and just say that you have to move straight forward. Nothing too spectacular about it. I think in terms of where it belongs, I think it's nothing more than a cool and good stage that belongs in the cool and good tier. Next up we have Vortex, and Vortex is not too much of a bad stage as long as you get the timing right, and from that point forward, nothing all that bad. So yeah, nothing really much to say about it. I think it belongs in the average tier, and I've never really had struggles with that. This next one though, I think absolutely belongs in anything but, or pretty much anything but good. So Warp is one of those stages where it's like, it almost feels like a seesaw, except it isn't. It's one big platform where you have to move across a variety of different slopes, which are all covered by bumpers, by the way, until you finally reach the goal. Now, I would recommend going for the green goal on this one just because the risk to reward factor leans more towards reward than it does risk, so I would recommend doing that, but other than that, it's not a very fun stage to play through. It goes in warm and bad. Next up is Trampolines, and as the name would suggest, it's just a bunch of trampolines where you just jump on them and jump all the way until you reach the goal. So, pretty simple stage actually, one of the more simple stages you find at this point in the game. So we can go ahead and put this one in the average tier. It's nothing too bad, nothing too awful. Yeah. Next up is Swing Bridge, and this one can be a struggle depending on how fast you're going. Like if you're moving at a pretty fast pace, you can expect the same treatment from the other Swing Bridge stage from Super Monkey Ball, where it can just push you right off and make you suffer a variety of pain. But you wouldn't want that, so of course I think this belongs in the average tier just because it's not that much of a bad stage. Next up is Fighters, and this one is just stupid in my opinion. It's the last bonus stage in Super Monkey Ball 2, and in my opinion it's a pretty bad stage in general. So the premise of this bonus stage is that you pretty much just go all the way to the end to hit the button, and then you just watch these guys fight for a very short amount of time, because by the time you've reached it, there's only 50 seconds left. And the bananas that actually come out of the fighters, they're very, very small amounts. You're kind of searching for the banana bunch, but which it's never easy to find, of course. And yeah, not easy to get that. But other than that, not too much of a fun stage. I'm gonna put this one in the warm and bad tier because it's not a good bonus stage in my opinion. Alright, now we're on to Serial Jump, and this one is, in my opinion, a pretty hard stage just depending on which goal you're going for. If you're going for the red goal, it's trial and error. Like, you gotta get the timing, the precision, and the accuracy exactly how you want it to be. Otherwise, you'll probably just end up dead, unless if you're able to pull off a really cool strat, which most of the time, like 99% of the time, that is not going to happen. So just depending on where you're trying to go depends on where you're going to put this stage on the tier list. As for me, I'll put it right smack dab in the average tier. Next up is Crossbridge, and you're pretty much moving forward from platform to platform, which are alternating from left to right. As long as you get the pattern down, nothing too bad about this stage. We can put that one in the average tier as well. Next up is Spinning Saw, which this one, again, has its own gravitational field that can just really irritate you at times, because sometimes you'll hit the blue tape and it'll bounce you off the blue tape. I know, ridiculous, isn't it? And it'll cause you to just move out and just fly off the stage completely. It's dumb, it's stupid, and I don't like that. So that one can go into the warm and bad tier. Chip Pipes. So this one is probably, in my opinion, the easiest green goal to get and throughout Monkey Ball 2. Unless if you're talking about inchworms. But other than that, this one's a really, really easy one to get, and probably the easiest in Monkey Ball 2, besides inchworms, of course. So that one can go into the cool and good tier, because the green goal will be much needed as we look at this one, which is Flat Maze. So the premise of Flat Maze is that, of course, you're moving across a maze which is flat. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Wrong. This one is a pain in the cheeks because of the fact that you are consistently having to find a different pathway to move towards, and most of the time you're probably going to have to find a shortcut, what am I saying? Shortcut or a gap that you're going to have to move forward. And with that being said, it's well deserving, in my opinion, of the pain tier. So now we're on to Guillotine, and this one is not too bad of a stage. It's just a constantly moving, big, swinging bar that, if you're not careful enough, will smack you off and kill you. Other than that, nothing too bad about it. It's an averagely well-placed stage that belongs in the average tier. Corkscrew is up next, and this one, again, is kind of a weird one, because once you move off the platform, you have to get the timing, and, well, not the timing, but more of the movement correctly, or else it'll just, you'll just fly off the thing. It's kind of weird how that one works, but it's not too much of a fun stage to play through. We'll put that one in the warm and bad tier. Next up is, I forgot the name of this one, but I really don't know the name of it. I'm sure I'll remember it sometime after this video, but that being said, it's kind of a complicated one to go through. But other than that, it's not really all that bad. I don't really know where to put it. I'm kind of teetering on, is it bad? Is it good? I think it belongs in average, like a lot of these others. Twin Basin is up next, and this one, in my opinion, is really easy just because it's just, you're moving across one platform to the other with a half pipe right there that you can just jump off of, and you're right into the goal. You just got to get the timing correctly, and you're good. Nothing too bad about it. I'd say that one goes into the average tier. And now we're on to air hockey. So this one, again, it just requires perfect timing and perfect accuracy. So the thing is, it's kind of complicated because you pretty much have to move forward at the exact right time and find the perfect space to go through, because if you don't, you're in for a world of hurt, and you might as well just give up and go towards moving into a different life. So that being said, I can slip this one into the warm and bad tier and feel confident about where it's placed. Whew, I'm only wrapping my head now around the fact that there's so many stages in Super Monkey Ball 2. So now we're on to the final 40 stages. And now we're on this being on to extra expert mode. So this one is charge, and this one isn't exactly a very bad stage in my opinion. More or less just requires just that slight bit of patience, but it is one where you're constantly trying to get to the goal and you're not waiting for anything. So that being said, that can go into the average tier. Stage 2, which is Strata, it's pretty much just one where you're balancing off of one end to the other and moving forward until you reach the goal. Now, of course, don't go for the green goal, because I've learned the hard way that is nearly impossible to pull off. So, yeah, good luck with that. But if you're not a big dum-dum and go for the starting goal, then good news, you're probably going to be just fine if you have the right balance, of course. So, that being said, we can move that one into the average tier. Next up is puzzle, and this is a weird one because as long as you get the timing correctly and know exactly where to go, it's another trial and error stage, but as long as you got that down, there's nothing bad about this stage. In fact, it's pretty simple, so average tier for that one as well. The next one is Giant Swing, and my goodness, can this one just go die in a hole. This one, it took me a very long time to figure out because I didn't know exactly what to do. But then once I managed to figure out what I was supposed to do, even then it was still dumb because you have to wait until it reaches you and reaches at the perfect time to where it goes from under to where you can go off of it and it'll hit you. And even then it's kind of annoying and dumb to play through. So I don't like that one at all. I wouldn't say it belongs in pain tier because it wasn't that much of a struggle to go through, but it does belong in the no tier. 5 drums is next, and this one is just cylinders on, rotating objects on more rotating objects. Fun, isn't it? Yeah, no, not really. This one's a pain in the cheeks, no doubt about it. It belongs in the no tier as well, just because of the fact that you are constantly trying to move at the perfect time, trying to get to the goal at the very end. If you don't get that right, you can just call it an end, and yeah, not fun. Alright, everyone's favorite expert extra stage, Space Jam. This one's really fun to play through just because of the fact that you're being launched into the air, going all the way to the very end. If you're me, trying to get the red goal and playing some hoops while you're at it. It's a very fun and really innovative stage in my opinion. So this is one of those rare instances where at this point in the game we can slip this one into the God tier. Pendulums is a stage in my opinion that deserves nothing but the no tier, because for this one, in my opinion, it's just one of those stages where you're just sitting there and waiting to end yourself in the process, because it's another one where it requires patience, except in this term you have to be patient, and then as soon as you have the opportunity, you have to rush at the speed of light. It's one that I do not like playing through, which is why I'm glad I get to skip it in free throw, but that being said, goes into the notes here. Conical Slider is next, or conical, whichever one you want to call it. It's one where you're just moving across, going into a sort of pattern, down a spiral, and right across the teleporter, and swinging across, getting right into the goal. Not a very hard one to play through, I'd say, but not a very fun one either, depending on who you are. For me, though, I think that belongs in the average tier. Construction is next, and with this one has its own weird thing with it. It's from a distant point of view, it may look like it's too much to handle, but as long as you get the pattern down, it's not too bad. But that being said, even with getting the pattern down, it can be a little bit of trouble, so I'd slip that one to the warm and bad tier. Wrapping up the expert extra stages, we have Trainworm. What can I say about this stage that wouldn't come off as me just hating the stage? Really nothing in general. This stage is an awful one to play through, in my opinion, just because you're consistently trying to chase down this freaking worm, I guess you could call it. It moves faster than you, it moves more evasive than you. The only way you can get that goal is to outsmart its path, and of course if you get that down, then you'll probably be in just fine. But good luck with doing that, because it's a very hard one to pull off. You gotta get the timing exactly how you want it to be, so that one can go right into the no tier. Okay, now we've finally reached the master stages here. We're wrapping this thing up here, as now we are at Centrifugal, and this one is what starts the master stages, and man, does it really start off here with a difficult one. In terms of what's coming up, I'd say this one is not all that bad, but it's still pretty difficult, all things considered. It's not a very fun one to play through, I guess we should put it. Of course, moving a rolling object onto a rolling object is simply not all that fun, especially since it's just one big spinning tornado. So, not exactly the worst thing. We'll put that one in warm and bad tier. Alright, next up is Swing Bridges. So this one is actually, believe it or not, another simple-esque stage, as all you have to do is move forward and just maybe a little bit to the right, but other than that, nothing much else to it. I know, right? Pretty simple stuff. It can go into the average tier. This one, though, is not what you would expect. Well, actually, it is what you would expect when you're putting rolling platforms on top of a rolling monkey with a ball. It's awful. It's atrocious. I hate it. It's dumb. It's stupid, and it goes into the pain tier. Passage as well can go right into the pain tier, as this one right here is just an absolutely annoying stage to play through. You got to get the timing exactly correct and the movement correct if you even want to stand a chance in this stage, and getting the green goal is nearly impossible, as the stage most of the time just has its own freaking rules. It's annoying, it's dumb, it's stupid, and it goes right into the pain tier. Now this one, Notch, is another infamous stage because of the fact that if you start right off the bat, you literally can't get past this gap right here. It's almost impossible. But there is a trick that I'm surprised more people haven't recognized, which is if you let it turn one time before approaching it, it will actually become a lot more simpler because of the fact that they're on opposite sides, and you're able to maneuver around those gaps quite a bit easier than the last time. And other than that, it's not too bad, even though it is an oval that you're trying to move across. It's not awful, I'd say, for me. So that one can go into the warm and bad tier. Now we're on to, I think, Internment or something like that. It's not a very fun stage considering those bumpers pretty much just have their own rules. They decide whether or not they're going to let you pass or not. You gotta have to get the movement right. Other than that, it's you big daddy. So that one can go into the no tier. Oh god. Oh god. This is an awful one to play through. I mean, just an absolutely atrocious hellhole of a stage. As of course, like I mentioned before, keeping a moving cylinder on top or below a monkey that spins and a ball is never a good idea. Especially in the sense like this, to where it's just two big moving cylinders that you have to move across. So, yeah, have fun with that. Pain tier. No excuses to move it anywhere above that. Next up is Spasmodic, which, I mean, you just gotta have the right timing for it. It's nothing really all that bad, so that one can go into the warm and bad tier. Just you gotta have the right timing for it. Next up is Double Twin. Same thing as the last. Right timing, and it's nothing too bad, I'd say. Just as long as you're able to move past it without any issue. Well, the first one at least. And then once you got that down, as long as you're able to bounce off the second one correctly, then good news. Nothing too bad about it. That being said, though, it still belongs in the no tier. Clock Face. I kind of like this one, actually. It's not even that bad. For a stage that ends off the master stages, it's nothing all that bad, really. You just gotta have the right the right timing, and you gotta know where to go at the right time. So really, it's nothing all that bad. I'll slip that one into the, and you know what? Nah. I was about to put it in the cool and good tier, but I decided that would be a good idea. All right, now we're on to the master extra stages. Oh boy, what fun this is gonna bring. So for starters, we got to start with the first one here, variable width. Really, it's just moving forward and changing directions bit by bit. Other than that, nothing too bad. We'll put that one in warm and bad tier. Next up, Striker. This is one of the ones that you're going to have to really rely on going forward, as this one you got to love playing through, just because of the fact that it's just a big bouncy maneuver. All you have to do is just bounce off it, and you're right into whichever goal you choose. It's a pretty simple, pretty easy stage. I like the gist of this stage, and it's actually really good. I know I'm gonna move it into God tier. It's a real big help going forward, as especially this next one here, Parts. Oh, this one's awful. I mean, this one's just absolutely awful. I always try and move past this one because there's really no rules about it. You just gotta have the right timing and the right precision and whatever else you want to have that's right. It goes in the pain tier. No excuses. Next up is Planets, and this is just a more, I guess, complicated version of the Sanctuary stage that we all know from the original Super Monkey Ball. Just the only difference here is that the jumps are more steep, and there is a red goal involved if you're wanting to go down that route, which best of luck if you do. But other than that, this one's not terrible, but it does go into the no tier. Oh boy, and now look at this one. Sliced Cheese, I believe this one is called, and this one's just dumb. It's just stupid, it's annoying, I hate it. And it goes into the pain tier without a doubt, because of the fact that literally it has its own rules. Those holes can be very annoying sometimes, especially since the fact that you're consistently trying to move past them. And you gotta have the right precision and the right accuracy for it, or else you just have to do it over and over again. It's a tedious action, and it's awful. It goes into the pain tier. And this one is a more, of course, a more complicated version of linear seesaws, as this one is called 8 seesaws, and literally it's just you're moving past a bunch of them. Nothing awful, I'd say, so that one can go into the warm and bad tier. I've never had any complications with seesaws. Next up is Synchronized, and this one is a lot like Trainworm, except remove the worm and add a green goal into it. And you gotta hope that you're gonna get that green goal. Now I'll get on that in just a minute, but as for the stage itself, again, just Trainworm without the worm. You're just constantly trying and reach that goal, and as long as you're able to do that and find the right path for it, then nothing too bad. Now, of course, you're gonna want to find it at the start, because that's your best chance right there. Other than that, though, Again, nothing really all that bad. That would slip into the warm and bad tier. Hold on a sec. Need I say more? I don't think I do. Everyone knows what that stage is. There's nothing else to say about it. Alright, well, now we're on to the Dance Master Part 2. This one's a dizzy system, and imagine this, okay? A spinning goal on a bunch of spinning circles that are inside 3 other spinning circles that are inside 2 more gigantic spinning circles that is all on top of a giant spinning circle. Congratulations! That's what Dizzy System is. It's trial and error all the same. It goes into the pain tier. Alright, and now finally we're on the only, this is the only Super Monkey, well, one of the only Super Monkey Ball 2 exclusive stages. In fact, it's the only one that's exclusive to just that game, as it is just called Nintendo, and it's just a big rotating GameCube that reaches all the way until the end, where you press the eject button, and whoop, there's the goal. All things considered, this can be a very difficult stage, depending on where you move your monkey. If you move it on a space that's almost gonna get you stuck, then you can just quit and move on to your next life. So that being said, this one can go into the pain tier as well. Alright, now we're down to the final 10 stages, and these stages are exclusive to the story mode of Super Monkey Ball 2. And you can find, of course, you can find these in the story mode. Starting off with training, this one is basically like curvy option, wavy option, except the only difference is the triangles that you're moving across. So nothing too bad about it. That can go into the warm and bad tier. In fact, it can just go into the average tier. Why not? Next up is Gimmick, I believe, and this is one that really requires patience, because most likely you're going to be down to your last 5 seconds when playing this stage, as you are playing through the entirety of it. You're moving onto different paths, and it's just a nuisance in general. So that one can go into the pain tier. It's a really good thing I don't have to play that one in the challenge mode. Next up is Mountain, and you're just kind of moving across one giant rotating cone. Nothing all that necessarily bad about it. So that being said, we can just kind of move that one into the warm and bad tier and forget that it existed, because that's what it's mostly known for. Next up is Disorder, and it's just a bunch of moving blocks. Most of these stages are kind of rushed. Nothing too bad about them, and compared to what you see in Master Extra, some of them are narrowed down and not too bad. So this one can go into the warm and bad tier as well. 3D Maze can definitely be a struggle for a lot of people for a variety of reasons. That also being the fact that it's basically a trial and error stage, in the sense that you're pretty much just having to kind of figure out which platforms you can get on and which ones you can't. It's a pretty complicated stage. If you're playing it for the first time, we can move that one to the no tier. Labyrinth. This one is hated by a lot of people just because of the fact that it's a very difficult stage, and it's one that requires a lot of patience and a lot of time to get through. And of course, you know me, I have no patience, so whenever I see a stage that requires such, it obviously goes in nothing more than the no tier or the pain tier. So this one can go into the no tier. Postmodern is next, and this one, in my opinion, is nothing all that bad, just depending on how fast you go up those stairs. It's just a bunch of stairs. It's nothing more than that. Just a bunch of stairs. do I need to say more about it? I don't think I do. So that one can go into the no tier. They're right there with Labyrinth. They're basically the same stage, except one has stairs, one doesn't. Revolution here is what this stage is called, and this one, in my opinion, necessarily isn't one to be more... I mean, it's one of the more difficult stages for sure, because it's one big rotating object, and you kind of have to get the pattern right and know exactly where the goal is going to be at all times, or else you're going to be on this stage quite frequently and quite a lot. So that being said, we can move this one into the no tier as well. Now we are on to the final two stages, which are Invisible and, of course, Created By. So Invisible is one of those stages that, of course, are infamous in a lot of people's eyes because of the fact that it's definitely a stage that a lot of people don't know how to work with because of it's so different compared to just the straight... I mean, every other stage on this list has been straightforward, and you've never really had to rely on muscle memory or a mini-map. In this case, you have to do both. It's pretty awkward, and it can definitely give people a lot of trouble, so I definitely see why people would be mad about this one. With me, though, I have not had too much trouble with this one compared to some of the other stages on this list. That being said, though, I think a lot of people would think it would be good to have this one in the pain tier, because it does bring that in a variety of, for a variety of reasons. Alright, now we have Created By. So this stage is, of course, the final stage that you play through if you're playing through the story mode, and is just more of a celebration stage for amusement vision. So when the stage itself, in all honesty, is not that fun to play through. You just got to have the right timing and know exactly when to go. Other than that, it's nothing really all that spectacular. You're just moving across two gigantic letters, and yeah, definitely better than AV logo in my opinion. So we can go ahead and slip that one into where the crap ton of these other stages are, in the average tier. Well, there you have it. There is your Super Monkey Ball 2 tier list. And wow, that was a long one to do. That took me quite a bit of time. So if you sat through this entire thing, good for you. I definitely give you a big clap. But other than that, all I really have to say is make sure that you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I can guarantee you that if this video was boring to you, that most of my other videos will not be this boring. I do promise that. That all being said, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoy the content that comes forward on this channel later on. We'll have to see where the channel carries on. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, power to Tardaria, and I will see you guys in the next video. BPD.